What's up, y'all? So this is Sean up here doing my nightly stretching. I admit I didn't do my stretching last night. I'm not gonna try to front like I didn't do it. Like I did do it, I mean, but here I am doing it again. Cause one thing I know about stretching is that stretching, you have to be very consistent with it for it to actually work. You have to be very consistent, and you often have to do more than you think to get really flexible. Like, I can only imagine how much, for example, like a gymnast stretches to get their high level of flexibility. But anyway, the thing that I wanted to talk about in this video is, beating cravings, basically in a nutshell. And just as a reminder, this stretch right here, when you reach forward, you reach forward and then you kind of bring yourself back. Like so. It really stretches like all your stuff up here and up into your tricep. Releases a whole lot of tension. But anyway, the thing about like beating cravings and stuff like that is that we don't really understand how much cravings hold us back from what we want. Here's my point. This is that time of year, and I'm not shaming anybody or whatever, but this is that time of year where, we're all gung-ho about getting fit and getting healthy and all that kind of stuff, and it's great, I referred to it in a recent video. I refer to it as fitness momentum. By the way, when I'm doing this stretch, I put my opposite arm on the floor, and I actually use that to push down so I can kind of pull all of this into a stretch. This is primarily for what you call the quadratus lumborum, which is the muscle that connects the lower rib cage to the to your pelvis. And so I know I'm tighter on that side, and so that's why I reach over and do this stretch. I'm tighter on that side than the other side, so it makes me a little imbalanced. And I think that is due to a lot of things. But anyhow, cravings really reveal, I think, almost in a sense, how much you really want something. Because a lot of times the one thing that's really holding us back from getting the health that we want, the body that we want, is our cravings. It might even be just the one food. It might be the one food. Like, it could just be chips or sweet tea if you're here in the South, or soda, bread, certain kind of desserts or whatever. And the thing is, like, a lot of times whenever you're kind of in the thick of it, you don't really realize how much of a hold a craving will have on you until you're faced with the decision to give up the thing. And and then you'll kind of see how much you really want, whatever next level in your health or in your body. You'll see how much you actually really want it. And I'm just being real, this is like something I've noticed even in my own life. There are certain things I've found that are very hard for me to give up. But once I was willing to, for example, fast, to kind of give that thing up, it was very hard. But I tell you what, the hardest thing about beating a craving is making the decision. It is. And I'm not just saying that from some sort of cliche kind of standpoint. I know that from experience, because this is how it is for me. Say, for example, so right now my church is doing a fast. Pretty soon I'm going to be doing like a complete fast where I just drink water just for a couple of days. The hardest part of that, no matter how many times I do it, and I do very short water fasts on a pretty frequent basis. No matter how many times I do it, every time I'm always kind of debating with myself if I'm going to do it. Like this time, I've been almost kind of trying to rationalize myself out of doing it. Then when I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it. By the way, as I talk about this, when I grab my feet and kind of pull up, as well as what I'm doing now where I'm pressing my elbows into my knees and pushing them down toward the ground. Both of these are stretching your hip flexors. Your hip flexors is really what lift your legs up and down. And these are notoriously tight muscles. Notoriously tight. They get really tight from all the sitting that we do, which is, you know, what we don't need to be doing as much as we do, in particular in chairs, versus squatting down like people in other countries do. But anyhow, let me do that a little bit more. But anyhow, so the hardest part is making the decision to give the thing up. But I promise you, this is from my experience. Once I've made that decision, there's like a period of, you can almost say mourning, where you're like, man, so I'm not gonna have it. But then at that point, I'm like, I already know I'm not going to have it. There's no turning back. And then life goes on. And so you kind of have to, I think what it is for me is I'm kind of like wanting something else to hold on to. But I think that's where the power of giving up something or fasting comes. Like, you learn to redirect your mind. For me, you know, practicing, you know, my faith in God, like, you know, be reading scripture, you know, reading things that are uplifting, that are going to edify me and help me to be more who God called me to be. You know, but it's, you know, you kind of have to redirect your mind. It gives you an opportunity really to kind of find meaning in something other than food. So, but the hardest part, I say all that to say the hardest part really is the decision. Just make the decision. Once you get over that and you go ahead and give up the thing, sure, it feels difficult in the beginning. You feel some physical feelings. I think more than anything is like emotional or something like that. But then, oh yeah, I know it's gonna hurt. But then, you go without it after a while because you've already resolved that you're not gonna have that thing that you crave. And over time, that desire gets weaker and weaker and weaker. And then once you've been without it for a time, then you actually start to get to a place where you don't desire the thing at all. You remember that you liked it, but you don't really desire the thing much at all. And it's interesting because when you're craving the thing, you don't know that you can actually feel that way. But once you actually remove yourself from it, when you actually do that long enough, then you get to a place where you're like, you know what, I don't really care for that thing anymore. But you have to give it time. And most of us can't really see, you know, so to speak, into the future, you know, long enough to kind of see. We don't have that experience. But I'm just telling you, especially if you're like fasting at the top of the year, you're fasting right now, whether it be a personal fast, church fast, or whatever, or you're thinking about it, if you really want to reach some new health and fitness goal, especially if you've been kind of like going at something for like years and years, even decades, you got to make that decision to go ahead and give up those offending foods or substances. And I know that's real hard, but once you let go of that thing, and then you go ahead and start to walk down that path, you'll see what I'm talking about. You'll have a lot of mental and emotional battle, or you may. But what you'll find is it'll let go, and you'll finally be able to accomplish the weight loss that you wanted. You'll finally be able to accomplish, you know, other health and fitness goals. You will. But you just have to get to the other side. Just trust me on that. This is not something academic that I've, you know, learned. I may have read some things that are similar, but this is something I know from my personal experience time and time again. So just give yourself a chance to, give yourself a chance to kind of like be away from the thing that you crave. Like I say, it could be biscuits, it could be soda, fruit punch, fruit juice, or sweet drinks in general, or bread is a big one, pastas, real heavy carb foods, and cookies, and all kind of packaged snacks. It could be candy for some people, ice cream, whatever it is. make a decision to get rid of it. And then what happens is, if you have multiple cravings, once you give up one thing and kind of replace it with something healthy, then you'll be able to give up something else. Replace something else with something healthy. Okay? Now, like with me, I've told you guys on this channel many times before about my cravings for Coca-Cola back in the day. And I did have one over this past holiday season, and it was good. And but there's still this Coke that I've had in the refrigerator since last year. And I was like, you know what? I want to. It's a 20-ounce Coke, and I was like, I want to drink that. But I just never got around to it. I wanted. There were some times where I did kind of crave it a bit, especially after I drank one. But then I still was like, no, not yet, not yet. And you can get to that place. It's not because of anything about me being like so special or anything like that. It's just what you kind of have to, what you have to allow yourself to experience. You have to allow yourself to be apart from the thing that you crave so much, the thing that you feel like you can't do without. You got to do without it, you know. But once you do without it for a bit, then you'll see exactly what I mean. It's not nearly as hard as it feels. All right, y'all, let me finish stretching. Hopefully it's motivational to you, and hopefully me stretching here reminded you to get your nightly stretching in. All right.
As we get older, it becomes increasingly important to maintain and build muscle. Muscle helps you burn fat, stay mobile, and can contribute to longevity. However, many people have no idea how to work out to build muscle. My mini workout series on Patreon provides you with my bodyweight mini workout video library. These workouts use little to no equipment, which means that you can do them in the privacy of your own home. They start at beginner level and progress from there to ensure you continue to see results. Every workout is a full body workout, hitting chest, back, legs, and glutes, as well as other muscles in between. Become a patron today and receive access to my series of mini workouts, plus access to a digital copy of my book, 8 Weeks to Transform Your Diet and Your Health. By combining the workouts with healthy diet changes, as outlined in my book, you'll definitely be on your way to weight loss, improved health, and visible results. Join me at patreon.com/SeanB2B Fitness today.